Aloha guys, welcome back to another episode of NorCal Fire. My name is Kawai. On today's adventure, I'm going to show you the rig that I use to catch perch and striper. If you guys want to learn the knots that I use inside this video, I'm going to post some links below. And if you stay ready, we stay go. Alright guys, so let's get started. I'm going to show you everything from my main line down to my leader line on how I hook this up for perch and striper. The first thing you're going to need, of course, is something to cut the line with. So I have an old pair of nail clippers. It works great for me. I can even cut braided line with this. Knife, scissors, whatever is easiest for you. You're going to need your leader line. I have 30-pound test here. This is actually mono, but normally I use fluoro. I just didn't want to waste my fluoro because I'm cheap. I didn't want to waste it. So I'm going to use this 30-pound fluoro in this example, and then I'm going to use this 30-pound mono as well, but this is going to be used for my main line. Okay, so you have your leader line, something to cut it with, and your main line. Okay, let's get our tackle. Oh look, shout out to I Am Kaea, also Salt Therapy. If you guys are watching this, they make some solid clothing, so gee, shout out to them. So let's open this up. This thing is called a fish finder rig. So what you're going to do is you're going to find this at most tackle stores will have this. I'm not really sure about Walmart and things like that, but an actual, mom and pop tackle shop, they'll actually have this slider rig here. And this thing, the way that this is actually used is, the way that I do it, is that my main line will be closer to the butt end of this little T here. And what this T here is for, let me show you an example, is let's say this thing's already rigged up and, this is your hook with your bait. What you do is you actually hook this onto that T like so. And when you cast this out, it's actually going to go like this and it's going to fly off. And this way, the hook, won't get tangled up in your line because, you're going to have a long leader, say like that, like 2 feet or so. And when you throw your leader out, instead of it getting all tangled up, this is to help prevent that. So with your slider rig, I like to put this farthest away from my hook. This is where the weight's going to attach. So this T part will be main line, leader, hook will be attached to your T, cast out, hook will come off of the T, and boom, hopefully your line's not tangled. This is a better way of, a good chance of your line not tangling. It's not 100%, but that's what it's intended for. So we're gonna need our fish finder rig. I like to add a bead to protect the knot on the end, so that will be put right there. These are different weights that, you could use. The pyramid sinker, of course, from the surf, this is the most popular if you're going to be doing bait and weight. If you're doing a Carolina rig, of course, you're going to use an egg weight, which I don't have one in here because most of the time I do bait and weight. You're also going to have a coin weight, which is good because, this will stop it from rolling as much compared to this being in the water, pushing, more of a surface down, so this thing's going to roll around. This will be used to anchor it more, but, a good round weight is also helpful because when you're reeling it in, it'll pick up less seaweed or, less debris in the water compared to this. So this one I use more to actually try and help it bunker down more. This one I use, kind of like a Carolina rig because, like I said, I don't really want to keep cutting my line and using it with the egg weight and then having to change it back out, to add another slider on here. So if anything, I'll just add this to my slider and that becomes my Carolina rig. And then of course the most popular, if you're going to do bait and weight, is probably a good Sputnik weight. This weight is used to help anchor even stronger than a pyramid weight. So if my pyramid weight seems like it's not, staying down, then I'll use my Sputnik. The Sputnik is used so that it'll get stuck into the sand like this, like that. And then when you're ready to reel it in, you just give it a good jerk. And then these will actually break off like this. Either, 1 or 2 will break off like this. So then that way it'll just slide straight back to you and you can get your weight back. So this one's good more to hold it down steady for sure. Sometimes it's not always good to use this because, of course, this will definitely pick up a lot of seaweed and debris in the water when it's coming back to you. But this will be used, more if the current is pushing really hard and the pyramid, is just getting washed away. So, that's what I use the Sputnik for. So for this example, We'll just say, yeah, we'll just use a pyramid, right? Most likely you're going to start with a pyramid first. So this is a pyramid, 4 ounce. Usually I start off with a 3 ounce, 4 ounce, because I feel like that's a pretty good number for Bay Area waters. Their waters, the currents are pretty rough at times, but you know, for this example, we'll use a 4 ounce. We'll need a swivel. I like to use a barrel swivel. So we'll just pick one out from here. Looks like that. Okay, barrel swivel. Hooks, I use a 2/0 octopus hook, short octopus hook. This is actually solder that I use to help hold my hooks. At first I was doing the whole paper clip thing, but then the paper clip started rusting, so then it started getting to my hooks. So for this one, I'm just going to use one for now. And then I also use a size 4 bait holder hook. And this makes this a bait holder hook is, I don't know if you can see this, but there's actual little barbs on the shaft there to help hold the bait. Okay, so we use a number 4 bait holder hook, and I got a 2/0 octopus hook. And that's what we're going to use to make our rig today. All right, so we have our slider, our bead, our swivel, our weight, our 2/0 octopus hook, and our number 4 bait holder hook. So now let's start from our main line. So this is the main line that's coming from your rod, and this is the way it goes into the slider. So like I said, normally the short end I'll keep closer to my rod versus, you know, keeping it closer to the hook, just because I want less of a chance of my hook getting wrapped up with my main line. So the main line is just going to slide through the slider like so. I'm going to add my bead, and I'm going to tie these knots pretty quick. If you want more of a detailed explanation of how I make these knots, I actually made another video for it, so you can check it out in the link above. And I'm going to do this real quick. So what I like to use is I like to use a Palomar knot for my swivel. So I'm going to make a Palomar knot real quick on my swivel like this. Like so. Tighten that up. And in the end of this video, I think I'm going to show you guys some tips and tricks. Also, I like to do 2 regular knots just because I'm paranoid like that. So I just like to do it just in case. Honestly, a Palomar knot by itself is probably good enough, but I'm paranoid, like I said. So I'll usually just put this tagging in my teeth. I'll just pull it real quick. Boom. And there you go. So now I'll cut off my tag end. Okay, so now we have this tied. I have this bead here to help protect my knot, so that way, you know, when this slider keeps going up and down my line, it's not, you know, attacking my knot and, you know, causing abrasions or anything like that, you know, causing it to be faulty. So this bead will help protect it like that. Okay, so now I'm going to add my weight at the end. So let's build our leader line now. All right, so for our leader, I'm going to make a figure 8 knot. Like that. If I could get it to go through. So much pressure trying to make a video. Okay. Boom. Figure 8 knot. Okay. I'm also going to add 2 regular knots on the end. Because like I said, I'm paranoid. Okay. And that is going to be my leader knot that is going to attach to my swivel. All right, clip the tag. Okay. So now that I have that, I'm going to do it, we'll just say, you know, about a foot away from this line is where I like to do it. Okay, so a foot away from there, I'm going to make another loop, and I'm going to make this into another figure 8 knot. Okay, I like to do it, you know, about yay long. That's actually a little long. You could go like an inch shorter. So we'll say 2 to 3 inches is normally how long I like to make it. I'm feeling pressured doing this, so that's why it's longer. All right, so from there, let's make a T-knot. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I'm gonna push my figure 8 knot through it, like so. And I'm gonna slowly pull this in to make sure that my figure 8 knot is on the outside of my T-knot, and that this thing is gonna butt up right on it. Okay, just like that. Boom. So we have our figure 8 knot here that's gonna attach to our swivel. About a foot away, I have another figure 8 knot with a T-knot, and then you normally make around a 4-foot leader. So at the end of my 4-foot leader, I'm gonna attach my number 4 bait holder hook. We're gonna attach this to the end. So one tip that I do have is that if you're using a thick line, like I'm using a 30-pound test line, and it's going through a number 4, which has a really small eye, this line will fit through here, but you know, sometimes you can have a hard time doing it. So one tip that I have is that if you pass this through the eye one way, kind of bust a Yui, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this line down, and I'm going to grab my tag in, and I'm also going to hold it down. So I'm pushing this line all the way down, trying to make more space into that eye. I'm going to bust a Yui, and I'm going to poke the tag in straight through the eye again. And now I have a loop. Okay, so now the good thing about this is that instead of, you know, that extra 1/16 of an inch, you know, from that bend radius right there, trying to get that plus the thickness of 2 lines through that eye, now you're only getting the 2 lines, you know, through that eye, which makes it a lot easier. Okay, so now I'm just gonna hold my tag in, and I'm actually gonna pull more of my leader to make my loop a little bit bigger. And from here, I'm gonna make a Palomar knot. Through like a regular knot that you tie your shoes with. Wrap it around the hook. And I'm gonna pull both lines. Like so. Oops, like that. Okay. So that's my Palomar knot tied onto my bait holder hook on the end. And, paranoia, 2 more cross knots. Boom. Boom. Small kind of overkill, but I don't care. She not gonna break. Okay? So with that, I'm now going to cut my tag in. Cut my tag in off. Now I got my number 4 hook on the end. Now let's go back to the figure 8 that we made a loop with. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to poke it through the eye of my octopus hook. And I'm just going to loop it around itself. Like that. Okay. So now it's kind of like a high-low rig, right? Where I'm going to have one hook on the top. And then, you know, 4 feet down, I'm going to have another hook on the bottom. So the reason why I choose to do it this way with my smaller hook on the bottom is because if I'm fishing for perch, you know, also a striper will attack the Berkeley gulp worms. This will help keep more of a natural flow, I feel like, in the ocean, right? When it's on the end, this side is going to kind of be free-flowing more in the water versus the side with the T that, you know, it'll still flow around, but it's not going to have that full range of motion probably compared to the one on the end, because the one on the end is kind of, you know, the leader. It's kind of directing the path of the second hook. So I like to put my worm or, you know, a paddle tail, whatever I'm using, on the end. With the back one, I like to put the 2-aught with some sand crabs, and then I will use the number 4 to hold my soft plastics. And the good thing about this is that, you know, one day the fish might want the sand crabs more, or, you know, they might want the worms more. So this will kind of help you figure out, you know, what they're willing to bite that day. I do usually use the 2/0 a lot more for, let's say, catfish or striper because they have a bigger mouth. I do catch, you know, perch on this hook as well, but I like to use the number 4 more for catching the perch because, you know, sometimes their mouths are just smaller. I have caught a striper. Actually, my last striper that I caught was off of a hook like this. So that's why I still like to use these two sizes. I don't want to go bigger or smaller because I feel like these two are, you know, a pretty good size hook to use for me personally. Okay, so let's attach our leader to our main line. So with our main line, I'm going to take my swivel and I'm going to pass our figure 8 knot that we made. I'm going to pass it through the hole of my swivel like so. And now I'm just going to take my line starting from the bottom end and I'm going to poke that through the hole on my figure 8. And this is how I like to attach my leader to my main line. Alright, so now we officially have our leader attached to our main line, coming down to our 2/0 hook, coming down to our number 4 bait holder hook. And the reason why I like to attach my leaders this way, you know, instead of tying straight to the swivel itself, is that this way, you know, I can adjust the different type of leaders that I want. You know, let's say if I wanted to add two 2/0 hooks onto this, you know, for stripers I like to use 2/0, so then that way I can have a sand crab on one, you know, and maybe an anchovy on the other, or both having sand crabs. Or, you know, I could use for perch, I like to use number 4. I could put it on both of these, you know, where I could put 2 worms on there, you know, if I really get desperate and I really want a good bite. Or, you know, I could just put, you know, a sand crab on one and a worm on the other, which is normally what I do. And of course, the last thing you're going to have to do is add your weight to your slider right onto our swivel. And I like to add this last just because I don't like putting, you know, unnecessary pressure on my pole, you know, by having this weight. You know, she's going to be dangling the whole time with this weight attached to it like this. So in the end, I like to put it on the ends also because, you know, it could be flying around, you know, it could whack you in the head or something like that. So I like to put this on at the end, and that's how I like to make my fish finder rig. So we have our slider with our weight, we have our bead, we have our swivel, we have our second T with our second hook or 2/0 hook coming down 4 feet down to our number 4 bait holder hook. All right, so the first tip that I had for you was, you know, using your line to pass through a eye that may have been too small for the diameter of your line, right? You just pass it through, bust a Yui, poke it through the hole again, and that will make your loop. This is just an example. Okay, so now the second one that I have for you is if you want to attach a Palomar on both ends of your swivel. This is honestly how I used to do it before I started using the figure 8 knot, you know, using the loop on my leader. So if you want to add a Palomar knot, you know, on both ends, you know, because let's say you don't trust, you know, having a loop on there instead, let me show you a tip that I have for this. Okay, so let's say you start with adding your Palomar knot from your main line onto your swivel, right? When you do this, you're going to wrap around the swivel like so, and, you know, let's say you tighten that down, that's your Palomar. When you come to add your leader, you're going to be in trouble because, you know, you can't wrap your leader around the swivel itself because it's already attached to your main line, right? Your main line's attached like this. You can't loop it around there. The tip that I have for you is to start your leader line onto your swivel first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my Palomar onto my swivel. Like so. Pull this guy tight. Okay, now I'm going to take my main line and I'm going to attach my swivel. Okay, and when you do this, you're just going to pass the swivel as well as your leader through the hole, like so. Then you can tighten it up. And there you have 2 polymer knots on both ends of your swivel. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you guys want to see if this rig actually works, I'll post some videos right here. And if you guys want to learn how to tie the knots, don't forget to check them out in the link below. So, mahalos for watching. Kevin, bye.